vision, leadership, workplace-related topics. The Voices of Victory podcast show. Subscribe today. Let's go.
Vision, leadership, self-esteem, workplace-related topics.
Subscribe.
The Voices of Victory podcast show.
Voices of Victory.
Vision,
Voices of Victory.
leadership,
Voices of Victory.
workplace-related topics.
The Voices of Victory.
Voices of Victory. Voices of Victory. Voices of Victory.
It's time for the show. You are now listening to the Voices of Victory podcast show.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mario Di Leone.
Hello and welcome to the Voices of Victory podcast. My name is Mario Leone, and guess what? We're going to talk about the psychology of procrastination. I'm going to start off with a story, the story of the two farmers. There were two farmers, and they were actually sitting on the porch of their weathered farmhouse in Oklahoma, both sipping lemonade on a hot summer afternoon. Their golden retriever, Bob, decides to come and lay at their feet. He's all contentedly resting on the wooden deck. And as the afternoon sun cast these long, dark shadows across the land, the two men chatted quietly. After a while, the first farmer noticed something very interesting. He noticed something about Bob. Bob, the usually lively dog, was lying perfectly still, but there was something odd about the way he was positioned. His tail wagged lazily, but he seemed to be slightly uncomfortable. And the first farmer looked close and saw that Bob was lying on top of a sharp nail that was sticking up from the deck. So you know what? He turned to his companion farmer and said, "How come your dog doesn't move? There's a nail sticking out of the deck, right in his side. Why doesn't he get up?" And the second farmer, without taking his eyes off of the horizon, slowly replied, "He'll move when the pain is too great." And the first farmer sat back in his chair pondering the words for a moment. And it was simple, and yet it was also profound. In a way, this story is a great reflection on the human condition. Like Bob the golden retriever, many of us remain in situations that cause us discomfort or causes us pain. Why? Because the pain hasn't yet reached a tipping point or critical mass, a threshold where the discomfort finally forces us to act. So we often sit in emotional or physical situations that don't feel great, but also don't feel bad enough to make us move. They linger in unhealthy relationships, for example, or procrastinate on tasks that we know we should actually tackle, or continue doing things that don't serve us, all because the discomfort isn't big enough. But just like Bob, eventually we will feel the pain enough to make an actual change. And this is the trick of recognizing when that threshold is, because guess what? If you don't decide to move before it becomes unbearable, you are going to have the principle of compounding. The principle of compounding is when you procrastinate more than once, it compounds the problem with interest. And it gets greater and greater, and it's called the snowball effect. You're going to snowball it into a nice big fat problem. So, welcome to another episode of Voices of Victory, because we're going to talk about the psychology of procrastination. We're going to dive into that wonderfully complex world of procrastination, that delightful, delicious habit of putting off doing something until way later, when, of course, you're already behind and it's too late to actually turn back. So let's get real for a moment. Why do we procrastinate? Well, it is partial to the fact that we're not feeling enough pain, or even better, there's a level of emotional resistance. Or people say, "I'm not in the mood." This is where mood dominates discipline. So, like I always say on this show, mood is the murderer and killer of discipline. That's the thing. "Oh, I'm not in the mood." So it's all emotional about it. It's all emotional resistance, right? Is it because we're secretly all lazy? Is there something deeper going on in the mind? Well, it's not laziness, my friends. It is our brains tricking us into thinking that watching 27 consecutive episodes of a show that we've already seen is somehow more important than the projects we've been avoiding for weeks. And you know what? I'm not even mad about it. I know this happens. I know people do this every single day. Their lost time actually becomes my opportunity to do the things that I want to do. Not a big deal. So now, I'm right here with you, and I want you to understand. Let's break it down. First, procrastination is a classic case of what psychologists call emotional regulation. Now, when we know that there's something big and important to do, like writing that report, doing homework, or tackling the actual laundry pile, or responding to that one email that we've been avoiding for 7 days, our brain freaks out. It doesn't want to deal with the discomfort of the task. So you know what? It pushes us to do anything else but that. Anything but that. And you might suddenly get the urge to organize your bookshelf by color or start a YouTube deep dive on how to perfectly fold a fitted sheet. Yeah, that's how it's going to go down. Sound familiar? It's like the brain is in the full I can't mode. So it looks for a temporary escape in something that feels less painful. And in reality, it's just delaying the inevitable. You're not avoiding stress. You're just trading it for a different, more larger, compounded, painful form of stress that's less manageable. It's like a side dish instead of the main course, and no binge watching the latest season of whatever the hell it is. It's not a solution to your life's problems. I hate to break it to you. Matter of fact, it's just going to compound. The more you procrastinate, the more you are compounding. And the more you compound, the more you snowball and complicate. You're not complementing parts of your life, you're complicating parts of your life. And I don't mean giving your life compliments, like saying, oh, that's so nice of you. No, I'm saying complement, something that's complementary in nature, allowing you to perhaps grow from it. But here's the catch. The more we procrastinate, the more we end up feeling like we're failing ourselves. And that feeling, my friends, is one of the main reasons we keep procrastinating in the first place. It's a vicious cycle of avoidance, stress, guilt, perhaps even perfectionism, unhealthy perfectionism. And you're probably wondering, Mario, is there any way out of this mess? Yes, there is. There is a way out. It's not easy. If it was easy, everybody would do it. But it's also not as complicated as you think. Here it is, the 2-minute rule, the simple concept of the 2-minute rule. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. Wait up, is that what I think it is? 2 minutes? Yep, that's it. You see, the 2-minute rule is a gold mine of procrastination busting, my friend. Now, here's how it works. If a task will take less than 2 minutes to do it right damn now, immediately. Avoid waiting, avoid overthinking, avoid perfectionism. Just get it the hell done. Because you know what? You might be thinking, yeah, but that doesn't help me write my novel or finally clean out the garage. Well, if you want to write your novel, start with one sentence. Just one. Start the process. Start anyway. And hang on before you decide to throw that out, this idea. Here's the genius part. The reason this works so well is because it taps into the dopamine center of your brain. When you do something small and quick, you get a hit of dopamine. It's like your brain's way of saying awesome and get a little injection of happiness in that moment. Hey, that wasn't so bad. Let's do a little bit more, your brain tells you. And guess what? That's a feeling of accomplishment, and it leads you to do more action. So when you realize you can do several tiny, small actions that could actually compound, you actually build momentum. So several 2-minute rules over and over again. You write your novel, but for 2 minutes. You fold your laundry, but for 2 minutes. If you want to continue going, you can continue going. If you don't, circle back to it. No big deal. Now, instead of staring at your inbox paralyzed by the sheer number of unread emails, you're just picking one, anyone, that will take you 2 minutes or less to respond to that one. Knock it out. You got to win right there under your belt. You get to actually get that hit of dopamine, that feeling of accomplishment. My brain is like, whoa, this wasn't so bad. Maybe I'll tackle that other task. You don't need to tackle everything all at once. Just 2 minutes, then move to the next. If you're a perfectionist, that is a completely different ball of wax. Then go read my book, The Beautiful Flaw, from cover to cover. And I promise you, guess what? Guess what? No more perfectionism ever again. That's what it'll be like. Yes. If you implement every single concept and belief in that book, you will be cured of procrastination. Okay? That's not just a lofty ideal. It's going to take work. It's not a magic wand, and it's certainly not a silver bullet. But I will tell you that if you embrace the principles in that book, you will indeed be able to move on from perfectionism. Oh, and let's not forget, the more you don't procrastinate, the more you get to avoid the crippling feeling of guilt that you're about to face when the deadline arrives and you feel guilty about it. And you know the one, oh crap, I should have done this 3 weeks ago. That guilt. But I guess guess you were busy folding your socks, or perhaps maybe binge watching on Netflix, or maybe folding your socks by the right size, those kind of priorities, right? Well, just remember, you have to start. You have to just start. Have the courage to start. Have the courage to start for 2 minutes. If it's something that's going to take less than 2 minutes, just do it right now. And when it comes to bigger tasks, you can break them up into smaller bite-sized chunks of 2-minute commitment times over and over again. And you'll be amazed how much you can get done with just 2-minute increments. The key is consistency. It's like knocking down a whole mountain of procrastination one tiny pebble at a time. So that's it for today's episode. Thanks for coming to Voices of Victory. Don't forget to subscribe, share, like, put this out there, tell your friends about it. Purchase my book on Amazon, The Beautiful Flaw. Or you could also purchase Leader Up for leaders, first-time leaders. So I want to say one last thing. Remember this. The next time you're tempted to put something off for later, just tell yourself, it'll only take 2 minutes. You'll thank me when you're sitting in your chair, sipping that victory coffee, actually feeling like you've accomplished something and having fun listening to my episodes where they don't interfere with your daily life. Until next time, keep those small steps going. And if you find yourself still procrastinating, well, at least you listen to this podcast, you're technically being productive, or at least sort of. Have a great day. See you in the next episode.